Hi guys, it's James from F4.0 Video. Today we are in Canary Wharf in London to test out Sony's brand new standard zoom lens, the Sony 20-70mm F4G. Now this lens really is a one lens solution for a wide range of subjects, especially for photography and video. Now it's got quite a unique focal length from 20mm to 70mm. Usually it's 24 to 70, that's the standard for most standard zoom lenses, but it's got a little bit of extra wide angle which will help you out in a pinch, especially if you're in a fairly tight situation. So as you can see, we're currently at Canary Wharf, at a really amazing bridge that we've found. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a variety of different locations in London to really test out the lens. We're going to do a little bit of photo and also a little bit of video to really see what this lens is capable of. So we're just about to go over the cable cars across the River Thames. I've never done it before, so I'm quite excited. But I've been told they are quite small, which means usually you'd want to go for like an ultra wide angle lens. Now, most Sony lenses today are 24 to 70. That's the standard that we are kind of used to expect across all brands. But this is 20 to 70mm, which means it's about 4mm wider. Now that might not seem like a large difference, but if you can see by some of the sample images, this is 24mm and then this is 20mm. So you can see it's actually a little bit more wide angle than you would expect. So for situations like this, like the cable car, and also maybe you're a landscape photographer, a real estate photographer, or even an architect photographer, that little bit of extra wide angle might help you out at a pinch. So what's quite cool about the cable car is you can just simply use your contactless card or Oyster. It's actually part of the underground system, which I think is actually quite cool. So 20mm focal length is actually quite an interesting focal length. It's fairly unique because of distortion. Anything wider than 20mm, you are going to find there's quite a decent amount of distortion, but there is very little barrel distortion involved, which I actually think is a good bonus. So if you are after a lens with very little distortion, this lens actually is going to be quite handy. The other benefit is obviously it is still 70mm. So if you do want to get some real tight shots of London at the same time as you want to get some wide angle shots of inside the gondola or inside the cable car, you can do that with just this single lens. Now, although this lens is great, I think, for photography and video, one thing to mention is it doesn't have image stabilization. Now, it's not a major deal breaker because what's great about Sony cameras, especially the Sony A7S III, is it's got great IBIS, which is in-body image stabilization of the camera. So you don't necessarily need it in the lens. But if you're using on any other camera, maybe one of the A6000 series cameras, which doesn't have it, maybe you'll need a gimbal or something like that to kind of stabilize your footage, because otherwise it could be quite shaky. But thanks to Sony, they've got great image stabilization in their cameras. So we've just come to Hampstead Heath to take some kind of sunset photos, but classic England, it is now raining. It wasn't expected to rain, it wasn't forecasted, but oh well. But luckily, this particular lens is moisture resistant, and actually the overall build quality of this lens is really, really nice. You've got a focus ring at the front, then you've got a zoom ring, but on this lens you've also got an aperture ring. Now the aperture ring is clickable, but you can also switch it off as well. So for photo mode, you can have the nice clicks, which is really nice, but you've got a switch at the bottom here. Go ahead and switch it to off. If you're planning on wanting to use it for video, what you can do, switch it off, and let's say you're going from a bright environment to a dark environment, you can actually use the aperture to actually control your exposure, which is really interesting. So this lens really has been designed for both photo and video. So let's say you're a travel photographer or travel filmmaker and you're wanting a small lightweight lens that's also got a moisture resistant design, the 20-70 has got you covered. So this is a 20 to 70mm f4, which means it's got a continuous aperture all the way through its focal length, all the way from 20mm, where it's its widest, to 70mm. Now that's got some benefits and disadvantages. The benefit is this lens is small and lightweight. So if you're a travel photographer or you're just after one lens, this is going to be perfect for you. The disadvantage is it's not a very bright aperture. f4 is on the darker side realistically compared to other lenses that Sony make. Obviously prime lenses have got like f1.8 apertures, so they're far brighter, but the main zoom lens that's really in comparison to this is the Sony 24 to 70 f2.8 G Master. Now that's a far heavier lens because it is obviously an f2.8. It's also obviously a lot more expensive than this lens, and obviously it doesn't go to 20mm, which I think is a really big benefit to this. Getting that little bit of extra wide angle can actually really help you in some instances. Now, as you can imagine, a Sony lens on a Sony body, the autofocus is going to be great, and you wouldn't be surprised, it is. This lens is genuinely really fast. We haven't had problems throughout any of the day. We're shooting into the light, we're shooting in dark situations, and actually we're using it now to track me walking. As you can see, George is walking behind me with a gimbal. It's tracking me perfectly fine at 20mm, and then we've got it like 70mm as well. So if you're after a lens with great autofocus, the 20 to 70mm, perfect. Right, so we're just heading to our last location, Parliament Hill. Great views. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of sunset. Not too sure if we're going to get some. It's been a bit raining, but I think it is clearing up. I just want to summarise what it's been like using this lens. It is incredibly lightweight. I haven't really felt like it's been a burden with me. I've been carrying it around pretty much all of London, Canary Wharf, the centre, and now here. Really lightweight. It's 488 grams, and it's probably one of the smallest kind of standard zoom lenses at f4 that you can possibly buy. So if you're after a travel lens, if you're after a lens that isn't going to weigh you down, maybe you're just going on a family holiday and you don't want to bring massive amounts of kit, 2070 got you covered. Let's see if we can catch the sunset. I must say, for landscape photography, you really don't notice the difference between f2.8 and f4. So for stuff like this, I'd probably shoot at f4 anyway, so having an f4 zoom lens, especially for landscapes, I don't think it's much of a problem. So the sunset isn't as amazing as me and George thought. It's kind of over there, you can't really see it, it's behind some trees and some clouds. So, you know, Hampstead Heath is probably good for sunrise, but definitely not for sunset. But we are going to take advantage. We're going to do a couple long exposures. Brought my tripod, pointing it towards London. We've got the quite very windy day, so we've got some clouds. We're going to try and take advantage. But as we're doing that, let's go talk about summarising this lens and who do I think this lens is designed for. So the biggest thing I noticed is the size and weight of this lens carrying it around. I usually carry around big, heavy primes, and having a nice small zoom lens and the versatility of that zoom lens is really, really handy. You know, yes, you can bring the biggest and the baddest lens with you, but if it's a big weight and a big burden carrying it around, you're not going to be always taking it out of your camera bag. This has really never left my side, and you know, carrying around London, it's just quite discreet, quite small. It's just really, really nice for the kind of types of photography we were doing. Now, who do I think this lens is designed for? I think if you've got a brand new camera and you don't currently own a good zoom lens, maybe you've just got one of those kit lenses, this is definitely a worthwhile upgrade. Again, that 20 to 24mm might not seem like a big difference, but me and George both noticed it. We think it's really good for photography and also good for video. I also think it's almost two lenses rolled up into one. Again, if you have a 16 to 35mm and a 24 to 70, this lens has almost got the identical focal length. Yes, you're not getting that 16mm, so you're not getting that ultra wide angle, but the 20 to 70mm is very, very versatile. And I think if you've got those two lenses, maybe you could just ditch those two, maybe sell them on, and then go ahead and upgrade this lens. I think you're going to be a lot happier. So overall, I think this lens is great for a wide variety of different photographers and also filmmakers. I've been James for Wex Photo Video, and I'll catch you guys next time.